So good afternoon and good evening to Bernadette on International Day of the Girl. I'm just so delighted that Habitat is hosting this online event as part of the One World Festival, and thank you so much for joining us. Women's full and equal participation in all facets of society is a fundamental human right. And yet around the world, from education to politics, entrepreneurship to media, women and girls are underrepresented. Not on this call today, though. Building a just and sustainable future for everyone means leaving no one behind. Women and girls are critical to finding solutions to the biggest challenges we face today and must be heard, valued, and celebrated. Investing in the power of girls upholds their rights today and promises a more equitable and prosperous future for all of us, one in which half of humanity is an equal partner in solving the problems of climate change, political conflict, economic growth, disease prevention, and global sustainability. In today's session, you will hear directly from my colleague, Vicky Trimble, who has worked with Habitat for 18 years and has led the development of Habitat's new education resources. We're delighted that dedicated volunteer Mary Wells will also share her experience later. But right now, I am so pleased to introduce my colleague, Bernadette Bolo-Duffy, who is the director of Habitat's Mekong Hub. Bernadette has worked in international aid and development for more than 29 years across Asia, as well as strategic leadership of the Mekong Hub, which is focused on Habitat's plans for impact and scale, especially in Cambodia, Myanmar, and Vietnam. Bernadette continues to lead our work in Cambodia, where we in Ireland have partnered for a number of years. Over to Bernadette.
Hello, good afternoon, and good morning to people that are on the call, or to whatever time of day it is that you are joining the call. Thank you very much, Jenny, for inviting me to share our work on urban resilience, the challenges of girls, women in Cambodia slums. I know I only have 15 minutes, so I have divided my presentation into 3 parts. The first part is to provide a very quick overview of what is resilience, what's the population in Cambodia, what are the urban issues, as well as also looking at the population of girls and the challenges of girls and women in the slums in Cambodia. It will be followed by a set of slides on what it is that we do to address these challenges, and then we will end with a few slides on our learnings in working on urban resiliency. So let me start this with a background on urban in Cambodia. So I know there's a lot to mention in this slide, but all I just want to say is that there's 3 million population that are in the city, and it is estimated to double in 2030. That 1 out of 4 Phnom Penh residents are living in slums, and that 3 out of 4 Cambodians are living below the poverty line. So those are the poverty statistics. Now let's look at girls. Next slide, please. So Cambodia, like many other countries in Asia, usually underestimate, undervalue, and continue to not appreciate women and girls. Now let's look at what's the population of urban girls in Cambodia. So the total population of Phnom Penh is about 2.2 million, or around 3. This was a very old statistics. And about 1/4 of that are girls below 14 years of age. If you look at the numbers there of population of girls in slum, that's grossly underestimated at 24,395. There's not enough statistics, there's not enough references that we could use that will actually let us know how many are girls that are living in the slums. Next slide, please. So what are the experiences of people living in slums? I know, especially girls, I know that today, the International Day of Girl Women, the theme is about digital divide. But what's the divide that the girls in urban areas in Cambodia are experiencing? You will see that there are two needs that were identified, and these were identified by people that we work with in the slums themselves, and they were classified into three. One is physical insecurity and lack of stability of livelihoods. There are so many here, but I would just like to say that women and girls are the most affected if they are being evicted, if they need to move around many times. They also live in areas where there are no footbridges, or there are no public lights that can protect them. They are living in areas where there's a lot of violence and crime, and also a lot of corruption in the community. Those are just some of the three physical insecurities that they usually experience in the slums. What are the other basic services that they lack in the communities? We all, I think people that are on this call would already be able to guess that these are some of the major issues that the girls and the women experience. They lack clean water and lack supply of electricity that they could afford. They even cannot be connected to a state subsidized electricity, because where they are, these companies cannot invest because it is very insecure. The drainage is full of, the canals are full of stagnant water that causes a lot of waterborne diseases. There's a lot of garbage around them. They dream of having access to indoor toilets. They also would like to have access, of course, to education and vocational training. These are some of the needs that the girls and the women experience in the slums. Next slide, please. So these three other sets are more about some of the basic issues that their parents are facing. So we will not be focusing on this, so that we could look at what are the other issues that women, especially 14 years old and below, are experiencing, and what are we doing in these areas. So let me go to the next slide, please. So Habitat Netherlands, Habitat North Ireland, and two other partners in the US have contributed to this urban resiliency project. And what is this urban resiliency project about? This is to help improve the capacity of the communities, where, especially the slums, in improving their resiliency against disaster and against pandemic or against diseases. I think it's quite small, so I'm trying to make it big. Right. Okay, so I will look at my own slides. All right. So the objectives of the project is to strengthen the resilience of urban community to disaster and infectious diseases. And this is our first year, and our first year already ended last month. So I'd like to share with you, how did we improve the lives of girls and women in the slums? You will see, I know these are very small. You will see that we have provided 19 families, or about 82 individuals, with new homes and with new houses and improved homes. When we say improved, we have repaired their houses, we have replaced their leaking roofs, or we have replaced their walls so that it could be safer for them. And about 32 out of the 82 individuals are women and girls. We also provided 15 families, or 71 individuals, with access to latrines. I just would like to point out that in the slums, the issue really is that there is not enough space for people to build toilets. There's also not enough money to build toilets. And also, if there are toilets, it is hardly working. It's not safe for women and girls to be using. So sometimes they would just go and bathe publicly, and that is also a source of issue for them because they are then becoming victims of sexual abuse because as a very young child or lady, they are out there in the open at night doing open defecation or even taking showers or taking a bath in the public open spaces. The other thing that the project has provided is we have provided prevention kits to about almost 5,000 families or 14,000 individuals, and about 6,000 of them are women and girls. You probably are wondering, why is it that we're always identifying women and girls? Since we started our projects, we have always tried to disaggregate and we've always tried to record the kind of people we have served or we are serving in the communities so that we know whether we are making a difference in the lives of the different vulnerable sections or sectors of the community. So part as well of our project is to provide awareness raising on COVID-19 preventive measures, and about 7,000 individuals received those support. So that's the first household level type of support. Now let's look at what did we do to provide to the community. So we provide training on water, sanitation, and hygiene. Once we have provided them with toilets, or once we have provided them with access to water, we need to be able to provide them with actual training on how to wash hands, how to use the protocols for COVID-19, and how to prevent infection. We also, while the schools were closed, we started to support schools. We provided five hand washing station and water tower to a school where it will serve about 7,814 people, or about more than half of that are girls. We also are providing about 2 schools with garbage bins and garbage skins so that they can start managing their waste. And this will serve about 3,000 girls. The other things that we have been doing is we have been organizing groups of women, so women, men, elderly, youth, that will help plan and protect their communities and make it safer and make it more resilient. And these people also receive training on how to make action plans on their issues in the city, and also how they can improve and maintain the cleanliness of their community and their homes. So those were some of the small improvements that we have introduced with the help of the community groups so that it could improve the resilience of the community. I have 2 more slides, and I know that I'm almost time. I think I only have 2 minutes or 3 minutes. I want to end with one example of what is considered a safe space in a slum. In this community, we asked this group, what is it that you would like to solve in your community? So we thought that it's going to be flood. But then there were a lot of women who suggested that this area, where on the upper left-hand corner is actually a railway station, and both sides are occupied with slums. But at night, it's so dark that the women decided that they would like to use the grant that we provided the community in providing the poles and the solar panels, so that at night, when their daughters come from work, or when their children come from the schools, they could go home safely. In the past, they would experience people just being robbed because it was so dark. And so people are afraid to go in and out of the community. Even their neighbors don't want to go, their neighboring community don't want to visit them because of the perception that it is very, very dangerous. So that for us is an example of creating safe spaces especially for women and girls who are going in and out of the community at night when it is dark, and to protect them from sexual abuse or from violence or even from drug addicts who are living just around the area. One of the lessons that we learned, we had a lot, but one of the things that I'd like to point out is that during COVID, most of our staff cannot go and visit the community, and we noticed that the elder section of the population in the community do not have the ability to access and use technology. So fortunately, we have young people, young members of the community who are technologically savvy enough and could help their parents identify some of the plans and also scan them with the phone and share it with us, especially if they are going to submit it to the government authorities for approval. The female youth who were involved in our PASA groups played a key role to mobilize people for more participation. They were able to share information about the community because they could show it on their phone, and they could also use the phone to actually report what has been done and what has been achieved by their group in their community. So for us, part of the work that we are doing is that we would like to spend more time, because girls are lagging behind in education and opportunities. While it is not Habitat work to provide them with safe learning spaces in slums, we could provide them with a link to organizations like PLAN or other organizations that could help them acquire skills in English, computer use, more use of computers, photography, and public speaking, so that they can use their leadership in helping their community and by learning from other leaders in the community on issues that they are facing. They could also be future leaders who can learn to organize and lead community events in their own places. So those are some of the lessons we learned. In summary, the Urban Resiliency Program, while it was addressed to serve slums in general, it has served a lot of groups, subgroups within, especially girls and women. May I end my presentation here? If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.
Bernadette, thank you so very much for giving up your time, for speaking to us in the evening. So we really appreciate it. We're always inspired by the impact of what I know is painstaking work in that Urban Resiliency Programme. As I was listening, I was thinking it would be great to develop a lesson plan which would allow students here to dig into the programme a bit more, to understand the context and learn about the practical challenges of working with such vulnerable communities. So that's something for further thought. If anybody has a question for right now, please do add it in the chat. But if not, again, just thank you so much, Bernadette. It's a pleasure to see your face and to connect with you, Arkun. For now, we will turn to Africa and watch a short film featuring Lucy and Lucy and Beatrice. So thank you so much, Bernadette.
Thank you. Thank you.
Chonza fyali shubile nali mwaite urona mbile kusunga baite banje nali temwenganda bani nali shwaje tukwekana nabaite bakapisha maskulu bonsi wasongala muse bwalala mbenga ndali ba important because kulala then no kwata for free mind
Ababa badi itamaliza nthawi imeneyo tisanaphunzitsidwe kusoka kwa mapadi timatha nthawi imene tayamba kusamba timatha kupita ku nyumba kuti tikavale padi koma apapa zatilimbikitsa kuti pamene tayamba kusamba titha osamakhala ni nkhawa kumaphunziranso chimodzimodzi kubwereranso ku nyumba.
Habitat is working to empower women and girls. Lucy was supported through the Orphans and Vulnerable Group programme, which ensures thousands of women and girls have legal title to their Habitat homes, as well as health, education and livelihood support to protect their future. Beatrice spoke about the impact of the menstrual hygiene intervention, part of Habitat's significant water, sanitation and hygiene programming across Zambia, Malawi, Ethiopia, Uganda and Kenya. Supporting girls to stay in school has transformational impact for generations. Now I want to hand over to my colleague Vicky Trimble and wonderful volunteer Mary Wells.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hopefully Becca's going to share some of the slides we have today, but it's lovely to be part of this webinar today and just share with you some of our youth programs that we have at Habitat Ireland. Habitat Ireland, we believe that youth programs have the power to change thinking, heighten awareness in development issues and inspire action and ultimately build societal and global change. So I'm going to speak specifically about our delivered programs. Some of you may be a bit familiar with those: Changemakers, Our Waste Our World, Our Water Our World, Groundbreakers, and then look at some of our self-facilitated resources as well, which are our escape room and our global education toolkit. All examples of intentional and meaningful learning opportunities for young people created to bring our vast experience around the globe into your learning space to continue to build impact and one world. So while they're still working on the slides, I'll just continue on. So over the last 15 years, we have engaged over 7,000 young people through our education workshops and face-to-face learning events. These have taken the form of workshops delivered at all levels, from nursery right through until tertiary education. We have free online resources and lesson plans and volunteer opportunities, which young people can engage with us. The volunteer opportunities include our youth build, events, speaking engagements, volunteering at our restores, of which we now have 4 here, and through our House to Home projects. The Changemakers program, age 16 to 18 in our post-primary sector here. It was created as a cross-community peace building program to promote opportunity for breaking down barriers and promoting relationship building in a post-conflict setting. Habitat Northern Ireland was already making progress in peace building through our house building. So it seemed a natural progression for us to begin to focus on peace building within a segregated educational system also. And on the slide, you would have seen that 8% of our young people are still in integrated education. So there's a lot of work still to be done. And our Changemakers program is one way of changing that. We use a mutual learning space to bring young people together, usually from 2 different schools of 2 different backgrounds. And we have delivered 2 workshops. And we have 1 full day of volunteering, and then we encourage the young people through skills that they have gained in the workshops to go and create an independent fundraising and awareness raising event as well. And those are all really great skills for young people to have going on into tertiary education. The content is curriculum linked and focuses on poverty, social justice, active citizenship and advocacy, highlighting the work of Habitat throughout. And this programme partners with 20 post-primary schools every year, engaging over 200 young people. And we have many partners like Belfast Royal Academy who engage with us annually through the programme as they recognise the benefits the programme have for young people. And there's a quote, is our Groundbreakers programme. So if we can have the next slide. Perfect. So this is one of our more recent Habitat Youth programmes. And it's a programme that seeks to engage and mobilise young people as effective advocates for housing, to build better understanding of the global need for shelter, and to ensure local issues of housing, affordability and homelessness are understood. So this would be a great programme for people to signpost young people to, especially if your school or organisation were not in a position to partner with Habitat at this stage. And it's a great way to encourage independent action and exploration of the issues that we've kind of touched on today through this webinar with young people. And it's usually gauged for those in year 13, 14 and tertiary education. So the next programme that we have is focused on our more younger educated in the education system, and that would be our primary school programmes. And we've lost our slides again, apology for that. But this programme would be called Our Waste, Our World. And it was developed out of the first Habitat Restore opening here in Northern Ireland. In fact, it was the first Habitat Restore in the whole of Europe. So it was a very exciting time for us. And we were fortunate to have premises of large space that enabled us to create learning opportunities and host schools. This programme is aimed at children aged 8 to 11. But can be adapted for all age groups. And we have even had the pleasure of delivering it to preschoolers who have thoroughly enjoyed it. We use lots of interactive and creative learning methods, which help focus our young people on waste and sustainability. And then they can discover the impact that they are having and can have on our world and any changes they need to make. This programme has recognised the Eco Schools as a partner programme, assisting schools in achieving their green flag status. And also the content is curriculum linked. So it's a really great wee way to engage our more younger generation in the work of Habitat and how they can make a difference and have an impact too. So the newest programme that we now offer, and we'd love some of you to be the first people to sign up to this programme, is Our Waste, Our Water, Our World. And it's based on SDG 6, which focuses on water and sanitation, which is an important goal we at Habitat are working toward. So this year we developed a programme that looks specifically at the water topic, sharing Habitat's extensive global work through their water and sanitation and hygiene programmes, or WASH as we shorten it to. We explore the importance of drinking water, the inequality of access to it, and consider actions young people can take to protect this precious resource. So another good way to engage those that are key stage 2. So now moving on to our self-facilitated programmes. These are programmes that you can go and access right now if you choose to do so through our website. So one way that you can engage and build impact is through playing our Habitat online escape room. It's free and it's very fun. I've had a go at this myself. We would love for you to have a go too. Lots of fun games and exciting challenges whilst learning about global development and Habitat's work with the most vulnerable and the impact that they are having. And second, move on to the next slide. Another self-facilitated resource. It's quite an extensive resource. We spent a long time pulling this information together, and it's our Global Education Toolkit. And this toolkit contains a range of free online subject-specific and curriculum-linked resources. The aim of the resource is to inform, educate, raise awareness, and inspire action in relation to global issues among young people. You can sign up to it and get it online. Within this, you will find 12 resources. 6 are focused at Northern Ireland, 6 at the Republic of Ireland, and all the resources are subject specific. So you can see the subjects on the slide here as we speak. And the last of those resources, House, Homes and Human Rights, is for Key Stage 2, and the rest is focused on Key Stage 3 and 4. So I want to show you just the layout of that. So each of our resources this is for the geography one. So you will see very quickly where the curriculum links are, that there's 6 lessons contained within this resource. And the title will give educators an idea as to what topic they may be looking at already as part of their delivery of the curriculum, and to see whether anything is relevant or useful to them. We also show you very clearly which of the Sustainable Development Goals this links to. And then on the right-hand side, you see the first lesson. So this is what do we mean by sustainable development? We've got a learning outcome there, so we know exactly what we're hoping to achieve. Gives you an indication as to how long we think that will take, 15 minutes. And just to give you a flavour of this toolkit, we wanted to show you one of the case studies that's contained within the Connected Learning the Global Development resource. So this is a resource based on our case study, and it features Jenny, and Jenny is 10 years old and she lives in Malawi. And in this case study, we're asking young people to consider which of Jenny's rights are being denied or limited due to her housing conditions. So if we go to the next slide, I will just read through the case study with you, and then I will give you the Menti code for you to access, and you can add your comments as to which of her rights are being denied and so on. So here we go. Jenny is 10 years old and lives with her parents and 3 brothers and some sisters in Mitsuritsa, an area of Lilongwe, the capital of Malawi. Her father works in a nearby depot loading goods onto lorries, and her mother's look after the house and small garden plot where they can grow some vegetables. Like most of the children in her area, her home is made of adobe, which means it's constructed of mud, pressed into wooden frame with a corrugated iron roof. The iron roof can make it feel very hot inside in the middle of the day. Their house is about 30 square meters. They have no toilet. They have to use latrines further down the street, which are shared with about 100 other families. Their water supply is a standpipe about 200 meters away, which is shared with about 250 other families. The latrines are often very dirty, and Jenny especially hates going there when it is dark and there's no street lights. The majority of households have no sewage system, so wastewater is discarded into open drains which run down the side of the street. Outbreaks of sickness are common in her community. The water supply often breaks, and Jenny and her sisters have to walk further to fill up their family's jerry cans. This often makes them very late for school. And finally, they use kerosene lanterns for light at night, but it's still quite dark in the evenings and difficult for Jenny to study or do her homework. So back to the original question, which of Jenny's rights are being denied or limited? So if you can go to www.menti.com, use the code 942833, and you can add your comments or thoughts on this question there. So I'll give you a couple of minutes to work that out. Hopefully you can.
Vicky, can you give the code again, please? I think
you may have. I'll pop it in the chat here. Okay, so it's 9328. 33. I think that's it. 9432833. I think that's it. Nope, that's not it. Sorry. 942833. That's the correct one there, guys. Okay, second one, not the first one. Okay, and I'll just check how we're getting on Menti. Okay, so some of you started to write in there. So someone has said the right to safe housing. Yes, absolutely. Any other comments? Any other rights that you think are being denied or limited? Yeah, her right to education, right to clean water. Yeah. Right to water and sanitation. Yeah. Education's mentioned again. Yeah. I mentioned the size of the house there, and obviously there's a lot of family members. Do you think that has any implications on any of her rights? Yeah, personal safety at night. So having to travel to the toilet at night in the dark. As Bernadette mentioned as well, it's obviously something that young girls and women find difficult. Personal safety, yeah. Okay, great. So you've mentioned quite a few there. Some other ones, so right to privacy. So she's living in quite a small home with a lot of family members. Right to rest. Maybe if there's a lot of people in the house or a lot of stuff to do, maybe traveling further for water whenever the water is close to the home is not accessible. Will impact on her right to rest. Adequate housing has been mentioned. Shared toilet with 100 people, which is dirty, perhaps is impinging on her right to dignity, or limits that in some way. Health, dirty streets and wastewater, and the streets also impinges on her health as well. So there's lots of implications there. So thank you very much for picking up on those. So what we would usually then ask is that, or what goes next in the resource is then just talking about the impact that Habitat can have through the WASH project. So they build latrines and hand washing facilities at Jenny School. They also fund sanitation training, health promotion talks and hygiene community awareness campaigns. So there's an obvious impact there for Jenny with regards to her school life. So we get young people to consider this. And then also, what else do you think would help to improve the situation for Jenny and our community? And Bernadette talked a little bit about some other things that obviously Habitat in Cambodia are applying, things like street lights, access to decent shelter and so on. So that's just an example, a quick example of one of the items that's part of that toolkit, and that's ready to go with all the PowerPoints, all the resources that you might need to deliver those straight away right there. Okay, so at this point in the seminar, I'm delighted to invite one of our long-term volunteers, Mary Wells, to share with us a little about her experience of the impact Habitat is having, both in the field of Habitat, but also through some of the programs and resources I have shared with you today. Mary first got involved with Habitat way back in 2005, 2006 through our international volunteering program. Mary was the head of geography at Assumption Grammar School in Balmahinch, and they decided to travel with us to Mexico with a group of students from the school. From there, Mary got the Habitat bug and travelled again to a further 3 times to Malawi with us. And then went on to volunteer with us locally, delivering our schools programs, assisting in events and campaigns, such as the Build Solid Ground campaign, which she was part of. And you can see on the image there on your screen, and that's Mary in our shelter there. So welcome, Mary, and thank you for joining
Victoria. Thank you. And thank you for letting me take part in this very special day. And it's been very inspirational so far. And I think actually, Victoria, you were the one, I think, who inspired us initially. Monica Lewis, my great colleague, and myself, actually, I think, got the bug from you. Monica and I could see the value of taking part in a Habitat project with our sixth form students, all girls, of course. And we were really inspired by Habitat's vision of a world where everyone had a decent place to live. And we were very much attracted to the idea of working alongside families in need of housing. And to help our students, you know, was very important for us to reach out to those less fortunate and to become advocates for change. So with that in mind, we traveled with groups of our students, first of all to Mexico, 2006, and then following that, we traveled to Malawi, particularly Lilongwe in 2010, and then into the Mulanje district 2012 and 2014. And we built 6 houses in total, from, the girls from Assumption Grammar School, so we've left a little legacy there. But I retired in 2015 and, because of my wonderful ties with Habitat and the wonderful work that you do, I was reluctant, obviously, to cut myself away. So obviously I've been volunteering, with any of your activities that I can get involved in, but particularly the educational programs. I worked alongside your great colleague, Pete, in Our Waste, Our World in the junior program in the primary schools, which was a great insight for me, not having taught all my years in secondary schools. And then, of course, I got involved in the Changemakers program, the 16 to 18-year-olds, and enjoyed that very much at the secondary school stage. So anyway, here I am.
Great. Well, you have lots of experience with us, Mary, and it's wonderful to hear some of your background with us. You were talking about being out in Malawi 3 times, in fact. Mary.
Yes, yeah.
Is there anything in particular that stood out for you in that experience with regards to Habitat impact?
Probably what stands out most, Victoria, is the story of 2 wonderful and remarkable ladies, Demelsi and Esther. They were grandmothers and grandmothers to orphaned children and living in a village in the Mulanje district of Malawi, and very much part of the Orphans and Vulnerable Groups program that Habitat runs in Malawi. We were there for a week, worked alongside Demelsi and Esther and their families to construct their new homes. We laid the foundations, managed to construct walls, put on a tin roof. However, when we left in 2012, obviously Esther and Demelsi had not actually moved into their homes, so we didn't get to see them settled in. But really fortunate, I was back in 2014 and was able to go and visit both homes. And honestly, what a revelation that was. I think, in fact, some of your previous video clips have actually showed the Malawi home, Jenny's home, in fact. And that's what we were met with this beautifully whitewashed, beautifully rendered home, little vegetable garden outside, but most of all, a very healthy family greeted us. And they were secure and dry during the wet season. The risk of malaria had been completely lowered. The children were at school, and even a couple of the little girls were wearing Assumption Grammar School uniforms, which we had brought out previously, which was a serendipitous little sort of moment. But it was a huge sense of pride that they had in their home. And I think that is something that, that I feel, very, very important. And as well as that, it was a great privilege to have, brought that to them, and a very special moment for me going back.
Yeah, absolutely. As you say, many of our teams go out, they don't actually see the full impact of what they've done, but you've had the opportunity to see that, and that's wonderful. And what a wonderful story to share, Mary. Thank you. So you also mentioned you facilitated our skills programs. Is there anything that you particularly enjoy delivering, or you feel that works well with young people, really putting across the impact of the work of Habitat and how they can also be part of that impact?
Well, probably, one of both programs, the junior program and the senior program, lots of action, there's a lot of great fun activities that take place, but probably one of the ones that stands out is where the students in the Changemakers program get an opportunity to work firsthand as a volunteer in the local community. For example, the Welcome Centre in Belfast works with those who are most at risk of homelessness, and certainly one of the groups that I worked with, the Welcome Centre needed some help with refurbishment. So the two schools on the programme got together and worked in painting, cleaning, and it was a wonderful opportunity for them to get hands-on, to get to know each other better, and to experience volunteering and properly playing an active role in assisting the local community, which they can maybe bring forward.
Good. That sounds brilliant. And do you see value in adding some of these resources to lessons? If you think about
very much so. Certainly, the great deal of active learning takes place, encourages a lot of creativity, and as well as that, they are encouraged to achieve maybe sustainability at both the local and global level, and a lot of the work that you do at both the junior and senior level.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, well, hopefully, thank you very much, Mary. I think we'll leave it there for now. We've probably gone over our time, but I'm sure everyone will agree that what Mary's enthusiasm and her experience of Habitat has certainly added great value to this webinar this afternoon. So thank you again, Mary, for being part of this and part of our programs in general. So we're now going to open out to questions from anyone that's in attendance, and we've had a couple already through the chat bar. So I'll maybe just start off with one, and if you wanted to add anything else to the chat, you certainly can. This is now your time to ask the questions of Mary, myself, Jenny, whoever is here to help with the panel today. So somebody asked, what will the water program involved? Well, as mentioned, we do think that this is a really important part of our work that people don't necessarily know us well for. When we think of Habitat, they think of the structure of the house, but they don't necessarily link that directly to water and everything that we're doing. And as Bernadette talked about, we do a lot of work with water, and so we thought it would be really important to bring that into what we can offer young people. So the program will look at the importance of drinking water. We'll look at how people access and collect water, so connected to STEM, the inequality of access to safe drinking water and shelter, which will link into the PDMU. We'll look at how the work of Habitat brings clean water and sanitation to places without any. So in particular, we're going to look at India. And we're going to look at the fact that they use water wheels as a way to speed up the process of collecting water and make it easier on women and girls who are normally the ones that are collecting water, as we kind of know and have heard throughout this webinar today. And then we'll look at also other ways Habitat are helping in the area of water. So water kiosks, eco toilets in Malawi, healthy home kits, rainwater harvesting systems in Guatemala, and tippy taps in Fiji and around the world. And tippy taps are really quite a novel little activity, and we're going to use that as a way to engage the young people, help them to build their own tippy taps, hopefully in their playgrounds, as a way to encourage hand washing while playing outside and encourage good hygiene. So lots of different things in that little program, and hopefully lots of people will be interested in taking that up. Do we have any other questions? Let me have a look. And somebody has asked, how can young people get involved with Groundbreakers, and what kind of activities do they do? So Groundbreakers is done online mostly. So Pete, my colleague, is the one who has delivered two pilot programs already. And through those sessions, we're really exploring more in depth the role of shelter, and the role of advocacy, and how young people can use their voices to speak up for shelter and make changes. And we're in the process of devising some podcasts to all go alongside this. And also there's a Facebook page that young people can be part of if they're part of this program as well. You can get involved by just dropping contact details to Pete or myself at peteg@habitatireland.org. Okay, any other questions? We've got one, how does Habitat link to the Sustainable Development Goals? And is this explored in the toolkit? Yes, absolutely. It is explored in the toolkit, as you will see from the resource. We are very specific in linking any resource to each goal that it links to. Habitat directly is in, I suppose the main one for us is SDG 11, which is bringing safe, adequate, affordable shelter to all. It's the first target under that goal. And we are linked directly to 5 of the Sustainable Development Goals, and then indirectly to further 8. But we would say that most of our work actually can contribute to all of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Any other questions? I think that's us for today. So if we have no other questions, I'll maybe hand this back to Jenny just to close the session.
Thank you very much. Isn't it wonderful to work with such a great team of people, both my colleagues here, thank you Vicky, and around the world. Thank you so much, Bernadette. But also what a wonderful privilege it is to work beside volunteers whose dedication and commitment inspires us as well. So thank you so much, Mary. People like you allow us to make a difference in our own community and around the world. So thank you to all of you who've been able to join us for the first of our One World Festival events. You'll find more information about the innovation event. We have also a repurposed event, but that's completely booked out because that's in person. So we have 2 events tomorrow, one tomorrow evening and one on Wednesday. And then we have another webinar on Thursday. You'll find more information about how to sign up for the Innovation, the Future for Sustainable Cities. And that's on our website or on our Facebook page. You'll also find more information about the resources which we presented today on our website or again on Facebook. But if you've any specific questions, want to find out more about how to connect your school or your young people, if it's a youth group, don't hesitate to give us a call at any time. Together on Day of the Girl and every day, we can help break down the barriers of discrimination and prejudice that continue to hold girls back. Together, we can and we are building a just and sustainable world where the creativity, the power and the potential of girls is supported and celebrated. So thank you so much for being with us today and look forward to connecting with you in the future. Thank you all. Take care.